I found myself at some point that I'm literally going out of my body. That's how it felt at the time. And when I came out of this hut, of this house, and I couldn't believe what I saw with my own eyes. Everywhere, suspended in the air, were symbols of God from different religions. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you watched any of my other videos. In this video, I would like to share with you the story of how I came from doing shamanic ceremonies all the way to Islam, to where I am today. And that was a fascinating story. And if you watched any of my other videos, then you probably know that all my life I was exposed to paranormal and mystical experiences. When I was growing up, we could hear various scratchings on the walls. We could feel that there is some presence in the house, and so on. And I mean, I'm talking about myself, my younger brother, and even my parents. All of us were noticing various things, and none of us was practicing any religion, protection of the house or anything like that. We haven't done any of that. We were just living with those beings or whatever, entities. From time to time, we would notice that they're doing something. Like I said, like for example, you're going to sleep and there is some scratching on the wall next to you. And you know full well that there is nobody else near you. So things like that. And of course, like sleep paralysis were quite common in my life. Nightmares where you kind of half awake and half asleep, and where you can see the room and you can see that there is somebody in your room. Things like that were happening in my life as I was growing up. So I do consider myself more sensitive to those things, to those entities, and to that unseen world. What it taught me is that that invisible or unseen world exists, for sure. And this is what, by the way, I'm writing my current book about, The Seeker. And if you like to read about it, then the description is in the link below. I haven't done this video for promotional stuff, but more to share with you my story, because I think that some of you might have gone through something like this as well. So in the search of the spiritual path, sometimes we try many different paths. And this is what I did when I went into New Age full on. That became the focus of my life. So I did all kind of training, like psychic development training, mediumship, channeling, and things like that. I really wanted to perceive this world. I started practicing lucid dreaming, out-of-body experiences, and things like that, just to see what else exists beside what we can see and what we can hear and feel. I have discovered many things, like different kind of dimensions or kind of reality that seems like exists side by side. Like, for example, in a dream where we get to this astral world of different things, people, situations, and even places that you visit again and again during your dreams. The places that you don't know in this reality, for example. All this was fascinating to me to explore. So I was learning more and I was getting more answers. Where those answers were coming from, that's another question. Because if you're looking from Islamic perspective, then of course you would say it's probably the genies that give us this information. In other religions, you probably would call it something like demonic forces and things like that supply us information, which seems to be like really great at that time, but might lead to a place where you don't want to be in the end, right? So in the last 4 years, I spent in Mexico. I was living there. I was doing shamanic ceremonies. I tried to find a path that resonates with me. And so I didn't practice Islam, just to be clear. I didn't wear hijab. I was just a spiritual person who's trying to explore different ways and different paths. So in one of the ceremonies that I found out about, it was a very strong, powerful ceremony, as I've been told. So I was preparing for it. It's called Bufo, if anyone knows. To be honest, I didn't even know much about it. I just knew that it's something powerful and something transformative. That's it. With that, I contacted someone who is organizing this kind of ceremony, and I went. When I arrived in the morning, I met with 2 shamans. And so they gently asked me, what am I looking for? Why I'm there in the first place. So I explained that all my life I'm on a spiritual path and I'm trying to find different ways and different answers. And really what I'm after, or my intention for that ceremony, to have some transformative experience. That's what I said. So after that, I went into the little hut. It was like one room. There was a bed and there were a couple of chairs. And these shamans, they sat like from either side of me, both sides of me. So there was a girl and a guy. And so they give me instructions of how the experience will take place. And they say the experience will last for maybe half an hour, maybe less, depending on my own body-mind connection response. So after the ceremony started, I found myself at some point that I'm literally going out of my body. That's how it felt at the time. It felt that I'm going hundreds, if not thousands of miles per second into some kind of tunnel, but filled with various experiences, various bits of information and knowledge. It's like every so often somebody would show me, this is how the earth was created. This is how the skies are. This is how the animals' evolution began. This is how people connect. This is how they used to live before. This is what the other entities exist. You know, things like that. But they were going so fast that my mind couldn't grasp every bit of information. I just knew that I am shown a lot of stuff that consciously we don't know. As humans, we just don't know. And that went, it seemed like from one side for the whole of eternity. From another side, it took so many minutes. I don't know how long it lasted. What I know is that when I started getting back to my senses, I still had my eyes closed. The first thing I said out loud is that if you think that you know everything here, that means you don't know anything. So to me, it was that somebody was showing me so much that in order to let me know that what we know here about this reality, it's like a grain of sand on the beach. We don't know most of it. We don't know how this world operates. We don't know what's behind it. We don't know how it runs. We don't know how it's created and things like that. Of course, the spirituality and now religion gives us certain answers and we can get from that. But to be honest, even in Islamic books, it says that we don't know a lot of things. How the soul is created, how it operates, and the unseen world. There is so much we can learn about from those books, but there is more that we still cannot comprehend with our limited human mind. That's how I would put it. So when I came back to myself, I opened my eyes and I looked at those shamans. And it seemed like somebody was giving me knowledge through these thought forms. It's like those thoughts appearing and they're giving me knowledge of some kind of information. But I know they're not mine because I did know them before. It's somebody's talking to me through thought forms. And the first thing I knew is that these shamans, they're very wise beings, much, much wiser than they actually can understand in this reality. There is something much deeper, goes beyond their existence, their human existence. I don't know how to explain it, but this is what I perceived. And then I closed my eyes, and again, it started taking me somewhere really deep, as if somebody was telling me, release your control, trust the process, trust what's coming to you, trust us, and everything will unfold for you. Your life will become magic. It's really interesting. I started crying, and I was thinking, oh my God, I control everything. I control every situation in my life. And I mean, we all do. I'm not a control freak, but it's about we are trying to set up which we think is best for us. This is how I will plan my day. This is how I will plan my week. This is when I am going to see my parents, for example. And this is when I'm going to visit a friend or fix my car or anything like that. So in a way, we're trying to plan everything in our life to the point of, should I talk to this friend? Should I talk to this person? Should I go on this flight? Should I prepare this planning? You know, just everything. We are thinking that we're in control of everything. But that experience that somebody was explaining to me is that, and I mean somebody invisible, is that no, you're not in control. What you're trying to control is actually limiting you. But if you release all the control and trust, as now I would say, trust Allah, then the magic will start unfolding in your life. The right doors will open up. The right people will appear in your life. And this is what I found when I came to Islam. So that teaching resonated with what I know now from Islamic perspective. That experience, I believe, was originated from some divine source, because the teachings were absolutely correlating to what now I am learning in Islam. I'm not saying I know everything in Islam, because it's been only a year. And for learning something such rich, complex, multi-layered as religion of Islam, it takes time. It takes more than a year, that's for sure. But what I know is that those experiences, shamanic experiences, they echoed and they led me to exploration of this divine, authentic, deep truth. Again, to be clear, I am not promoting shamanic ceremonies, because they are not for everyone. They are not even legal in most countries. They are only perhaps play a certain part in the person's spiritual path. They can open the door to the unseen, and I mean not pleasant unseen. You can invite like a demonic stuff and genies and things like that into your life by opening those doors. So there's a big danger in that. So this is why I'm saying again, I am not promoting that. But this is something I really wanted to share with you. That's something I went through and something that led me here. So after that, I started preparing for my next ceremony, which was ayahuasca ceremony. It was a big one. It was like 40 people gathered to experience the night of revelations. This is how we saw it. We were meditating all night. There would be fire and spiritual songs and basically ayahuasca process. Again, I'm not going to explain what it is exactly. If you want, you can find a lot of information what exactly it is. But here I will say that the experience of seeing the unseen was dramatic for me. It was like very vivid. I had a lot of visions. And some visions were pleasant. Some visions were not so much. They were quite frightening even. And this is when I started learning how to pray. And because my roots going to Islamic background, this is why I turned to Islam, and I started learning those prayers for those ceremonies, because I wanted somehow to guard myself, to protect myself as much as it's possible, especially when the visions were getting like really disturbing and dark. In one of those visions, it seems like the voice, again, it was through thought forms, but as if somebody was asking me, who is your God? And they say, how many gods do you believe in? If you think it was frightening, yes and no. It was more disturbing than frightening. That somebody is literally connecting with me, and it's not a pleasant entity. So then I would start praying, and then it would the heaviness would just lift, and then it would be very nice, light vision. And so I started praying, and I was praying and praying and praying. And then at some point, I wanted to get out of this little hut where we were. I wanted to go out on it was like a nature, it was in the countryside. I wanted to go out and to experience this fresh air and a little bit of rain that was happening that night. So when I came out and I saw some people walking and also experience all kind of revelations. And I mean revelations not in the prophetic sense, but more like our personal experiences, more like visions. And some people would feel it, some people would hear stuff, some people would have certain visions. So we would walk around in this secluded area where this ceremony took place. And when I came out of this hut, of this house, and I couldn't believe what I saw with my own eyes. My eyes were open, and it was nature all around me. There was a little bit of rain, and everywhere, suspended in the air, were symbols of God from different religions. There were symbols of Om. There were symbols of Islam, Christianity, Judaism. They were golden and literally lit, and they were suspended in the air all around me. And I was standing in awe. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But I knew that I've been shown those visions that many paths that lead to God, the one and only, are the right ones. And that symbolic representation was that there are many paths, but they lead to one God, to one divine connection. We all trying to find that connection, and that's what it is. To say that the experience was incredible. After that, I started learning more about Islam and about history and about the prophets. And that's basically was the beginning of my return to Islam. I knew that the prayers that we learn in religion, they work for protection. I saw them. I saw how they physically formed some kind of fog or something around me that would be protecting me. Some kind of light and fog, that kind of thing. I could see that how my visions would change into something lighter when I recite the prayers. I could see how my life was changing slowly. And the doors truly started opening up when I started trusting more into what God would give me. That's what I would go for. The path would open up, the door would open, and with gratitude, I'm just trying to walk through every door. And literally, my life started changing. Like meeting the right people and the right circumstances and the right situations and work and so on. I would add that after that experience, my desire to go for those shamanic ceremonies lessened to the point of bare minimum. I mean, it gone away. At some point, I didn't feel the need to go to any of the ceremonies ever again. But what I gained true desire to explore more authentic sources, like the books that are ancient. And I could feel the connection like never before. So even though some people would say you shouldn't talk or promote these shamanic ceremonies, and like I said, I'm not promoting them, but I just want to share with you that everything plays a role on our path, whatever that is. Even if you came to some religion or some spiritual stance, like at the moment, because of paranormal experiences, or even some demonic interference and things like that, that was your path. There is no right or wrong. There is no shame in it. There is just that, the truth, that we live in a reality and we have some invisible or unseen world. And that's a fact. And whatever the path you will choose that resonates with you the most, I hope it will benefit you in the best possible way. But don't limit yourself. We are all open to changing and to finding other ways that serve us even more at some point. It seems like we are growing in stages, and at some point you hit the stage where you find another path opening for you and other people will come into your life. I hope any of this resonates with you. And if it does, then please write in the comments below, because I would love to read about your experience. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in one of my next videos.